The people who crush it aren't the hardest workers or the rule followers. I've noticed that there's a small minority of people that are running this mental operating system that allows them to outmaneuver everyone else. My name is Dr. Josh Tanner. I trained in medicine and artificial intelligence at Stanford, and now I build technology for the mind. So I want to share this mental framework that I came up with to assess what kind of operating system that people are running. You guys tell me whether or not you agree with it. I'm going to describe the two very common operating systems, and at the end I'll tell you about the very rare third type of operating system. I've noticed that the vast majority of people have either a trailblazer operating system or a stargazer operating system. The trailblazer has their eyes on the ground. They aren't necessarily guided by a higher purpose or vision because they don't actually look up at the stars to guide them. An example, think about someone in golden handcuffs. They're working a corporate job that pays really well, but they're no longer chasing their dream, what their heart really wants to do. They may look like they have things sorted out. They're paying their rent, they're going on vacations, but they're not going in a direction that they actually care about. Now the stargazer, this is the other operating system, they're too focused on the vision and not enough on the practicalities, the realities of life. This is the kind of person that stares up at the stars and doesn't look at the ground, and they just walk towards that direction. And they run into all sorts of obstacles because they never look down. An example of this would be the opposite of the golden handcuffs. So take that woman with the golden handcuffs. Say she quits her job, she decides she wants to be an entrepreneur. She leaves everything to pursue this dream that she has of creating homemade widgets for people. But she hasn't thought about questions like, is there a demand for this? How much is this going to cost? Will this pay for my bills? I'll give you another example of the stargazer part. I was a hardcore stargazer for a lot of my life. In my early 20s, I was Mormon. I served for 2 years as a Mormon missionary in Russia. I got married when I was 21. I had 2 kids. I was going to church. I was pursuing a respectable career as a surgeon. On paper, everything looked great. I was pursuing this higher purpose, which for me at the time was religion, but I was neglecting reality. I wasn't paying attention to how my life was actually unfolding, and the truth was that my life was a total mess. So the main difference between these two operating systems is how you relate to your guiding light. The guiding light's different for different people. For me, it was religion. For the corporate woman in the golden handcuffs, that might have been her dream of becoming an astronaut or a teacher. So this brings me to that third really rare operating system, and I call it the navigator. Now, the navigator is kind of hard to spot because the navigator runs both of the operating systems just at different times, and the navigator knows which operating system to run at which time. They get the best of both worlds. Maybe one of the best navigators out there is Jeff Bezos. So I've got a couple of quotes that I'll share that I think illustrate what this navigator operating system really is. You need a clear vision of where you want to go and the values that will guide you towards that place. And you need to be flexible when it comes to all the details of how to get there. So to wrap this up, you have to be both stubborn and flexible. The hard part is figuring out when to be which. I found that whether I'm focusing on a career, project, relationships, the navigator operating system is super valuable. And it's required 2 things of me: have a vision of where I want to go, the values that are going to get me there, and flexibility on the details of how to get there. That's the trailblazer part. Seeing the world through these operating systems has helped me a lot. Let me know what you think in the comments.